name's Marguerite Knight, and I'm a member of the Government and Public Affairs Committee of the Thibodaux Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to this all-important school board forum. We're going to go over a couple of the ground rules again. Candidates will rotate answering first in alphabetical order. We will begin with a 2-minute opening statement preceded by a series of prepared questions where each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. Responses will be timed by our official timekeeper, and you'll see the forum lights in front of you. The green light will be time. The yellow light will let you know there's 15 seconds remaining, and the red light will be turned on when the complete 1 minute is over with. We ask, of course, all candidates to respect our time allotment. Please, audience, if you could please silence your cell phones. And thank you. And the red button, it's in the front. Each time it's your turn to answer, it's right in the front. So you'll see when it's on, watch. And that's on. All candidates were invited. We had hoped that all would show up. We will go and proceed on. If they do show up, we will allow them to join in at that time. So now we're going to start off with an introduction to our candidates seeking the seat of Lafourche Parish School Board, first by district in alphabetical order. So we start off with Ms. Cheryl Chuck Thomas for School Board District 1.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Thomas. I'm running for the school board seat for District 1. I have 2 children. One is deceased. My daughter is deceased. I have 2 grandchildren, which I help my son with. My granddaughter is at Loyola University, and my grandson is Thibodaux High Tiger. I did a lot of work in our community and will continue to do more. I thank you all for allowing me to represent District 1 as your school board member. Moving forward, it will be an honor to serve District 1 as your school board member once again. Voting for me, number 61, will allow me to continue to do what I've started and what, not just myself, what we started as a board. I will continue to support the school board mission, visions, goals, values, and economic postures that are beneficial to Lafourche Parish's faculty, staff, and most importantly, our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Myron Wright.
Hi, my name is Myron Wright. First, I want to thank the Chamber for giving us the opportunity to present our race. My life motto, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't give up. I'm a resident of Thibodaux, Louisiana, where I graduated from Thibodaux High School in 2005. I earned my associate degree and bachelor's degree in business management from Nicholls State University and my master's of business administration from Southern University A&M of Baton Rouge. My career experience include working in the healthcare industry, where I worked at Thibodaux Regional Health System from 2013 to 2019, nonprofit management, where I started the Myron Wright Foundation in 2007 and is still in existence, and entrepreneurship. In 2017, we opened MD Wright Academic Center. Unfortunately, we had to close it due to COVID in 2001. I also, in 2019, I published my first book titled Overcomer, The Life of Myron D. Wright. In 2019, I started as the adjunct professor at Fletcher Technical Community College, and in August of this year, I was hired on as a full-time professor with Fletcher within the business department. Thank you.
Thank you. On to School Board District 4, Ms. Shanna Ellender Yurtich.
Hi, I'm Shanna Ellender Yurtich, and I'm not a politician. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and I'm a teacher of 17 years. In my career, I've never shied away from uncomfortable conversations. In fact, I usually start them. And if you know me, there's no shortage of passion about every aspect of education. I bring some of the most relevant knowledge to the table for this election. School boards should be problem solvers. Our teachers and our principals are on the front lines, and we need to show them that we value them and that we support them, and we need to make good use of their expertise. When I tell people that I am running for school board, one of the most common responses I get is something needs to change. What I'm saying is there's a perception of not having transparency on the board, and we need to change that. Another thing I've heard is we need new blood on the school board. This is what I think that means, is that we need people who have ideas that match what's going on in our country and today. So in our small community, we think extreme ideas coming from the federal government won't come here, but we can't think that way. They're already starting to come, and we've got to tackle that head on. Education in our country can shift back in the right direction if our parents continue to push back. Put the right people in your school board, and we can right the ship. We want new ideas, put the people in position who have the most skin in the game, the parents and the teachers. We have to bring families back into schools. We have to get the parents involved like they used to be. We need to untie our principals and teachers' hands and let them do their jobs. We need to get the government out of our schools. And finally, teachers and parents should never feel intimidated to come forward for fear of repercussions.
Ms. Marian Fertitta.
Good evening, and thank you, Chambers, for hosting this forum. I'm Marian Fertitta, the incumbent for District 4 school board seat. I'm a native of Thibodaux, a graduate of Thibodaux High School, and as were my children and my 8 siblings. We also, right now, we have lots of nieces and nephews that are at Thibodaux High, and now we're going into the great nieces and nephews. I attended Nichols, where I received a bachelor's degree in elementary education, a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and it's plus 30 with minor in guidance and counseling. Later, I decided that I wanted to reach certification in administration, supervision, and superintendency, which I did, and that was another about 30 hours that I went back to school. That, you can say I am truly a lifelong learner. I've always been active in the community, serving in many different ways. And in my church and also in professional organizations. I'm a chamber member, past president and current secretary of the Women's Club of Thibodaux, the secretary for the Lafourche Retired Teachers Association, a member of the Lafourche Education Foundation Board, the Alumni Federation, the Lafourche Republican Women's Club, and I'm a minister of communion and a lector at St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Church. I was a classroom teacher at South Thibodaux Elementary, which is now CM Washington. I also served as the middle school coordinator and also the accountability it was federal programs coordinator, and then central office supervisor of middle schools and student accountability. Then I moved on. I went to the Catholic Schools Office for the Diocese of Houma Thibodaux, where I served as the assistant superintendent and then the superintendent. My experiences on the board are...
Thank you, Ms. Fertitta.
Oh, thank you.
Time's up. Mr. Brett Smith.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Brett Smith. I'm originally from Sydney, Australia. Some people tell me I'm from way down the bayou. All right. 15 years ago, I came to Thibodaux, Louisiana. I met my wife, and my wife gave me an ultimatum. You're either going to work in the sugar factory at Lafourche Sugars or become a teacher. All right, nothing against the men and women that work in the cane fields, but I can't deal with Louisiana heat, and I still can't deal with Louisiana heat. So I decided to become a teacher. For the past 14 and a half years, I've been an educator in Lafourche. This last year, I decided to move away from Lafourche Parish, and I teach in an online school. During that time, I was a teacher for 8 of those years, and then the last 6.5 years, I've been an assistant principal, both at Lockport and East Thibodaux Middle School. During that time, I have served your children, probably some of your children in here, taught your children in here, made relationships with many of the people throughout the community from here, from the central area to all the way to Thibodaux. I absolutely love Lafourche, even though I'm not originally from here. It's kind of, how do I say it? I love it because I'm coming all the way from Australia to here to live here. So I thoroughly enjoy it. Now I am an educator. I love education. I love serving your kids. Even though I'm not in Lafourche anymore, the main reason why I want to become a school board member is to still impact the lives of our students in Lafourche. And I absolutely adore these kids and want to make sure they're getting the best education possible. Thank you.
We'll move on to School Board District 5, Mr. Guy Campbell.
Thank you. My name is Guy Campbell Sr. I'm represent the Bayou Blue area. I'm married to Hernika McCoy Campbell, who's an educator at Race and Lower. The reason why I ran for school board is I care. I care about the kids. I care about the teachers. I care about the system. I want to help and make sure the system works for everybody. Everybody's not going to college, but everybody could become a productive citizen. And I think education plays an important role in getting everybody to that point of I'm going to be able to live in society and function as an adult. That should be one of the main goals of the education system. Now, that will entail everybody participation, the kid, the teacher, the parent. And I think being on the school board, that would be one of my biggest goals, is to incorporate a system that everybody participates and everybody benefits from. I'm a father of 6. I used to coach high school basketball. I used to coach recreation basketball. I'm currently serving on the Bayou Blue Recreation Board. So kids and family is my heart. That's what I continue to pray and ask God to lead me and guide me to make sure that I can show my worth to my community and most importantly to my family, to teach them how to be a man and how to be a productive citizen in this world. Thank you.
Mr. Clyde Joey Duplantis was invited and it indicated that he was going to attend, but he is not. So we will move on to School Board District 7, Ms. Jamie Malbrough.
Good evening, y'all. Thank you for inviting me here. My name's Jamie Marlborough. I have 4 children. One is an educator at Lockport Middle teaching 7th grade math. One coaches football at Central Lafourche High School, and 2 of them attend school at Lockport Middle. 2 of my 4 children have exceptionalities. I have been dealing with the school system for 17 years, advocating for my children. And this year I decided I'm just disgusted with our school system. It's time for change. I've decided that parents can do everything right, but it doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, I want to make change. And I've been out talking to people out in District 7, and many things have been shared with me that are extremely disturbing. Parents and stakeholders feel that bullying is out of control, children being rushed to the hospital because they consumed something while in the school's direct authority, children being filmed in bathrooms where privacy is expected while in school's direct authority. We've been told that there are gender-neutral bathrooms in all K through 12 schools by our school board president. No parent should have to worry about these issues when they send their children to school. Current school board policy does not allow us to speak unless it's on agenda items. So we can't go and say, hey, this is what's happening. We feel that we've exhausted all efforts. Can you please help us? So I feel every parent and stakeholder should be able to use their guaranteed rights of the freedom of speech to address their government with their grievances and invoke their 14th Amendment guarantees to upbring their children as they see fit and have their say in their children's education. It is extremely important that we teach history the way that it has happened and the importance of civics. Ronald Reagan once said that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And as some of you may know, the average ACT score in the state of Louisiana is well below the national average. We need to demand as a community that K through 5 go back to the classic way of teaching. This will allow our children's educational houses to be built on solid foundations. Having children that work and are in school, I'm a mom, and that's what I
Thank
bring
you.
to the table.
Thank you. Mr. Claude Richardell?
Correction first. I don't consider ourselves politicians. We are public servants, each and every one of you and the ones that spoke earlier. Thanks to the Thibodaux and the Lafourche Chambers for hosting tonight's forum, and the parish government for providing the venue. Thanks also to the moderator, Ms. Knight. 2 questions. What is the primary objective of a school board? Secondly, which candidate seeking that position has the necessary skills to be most effective in reaching that objective? The number one objective should be to provide the best school system, not only in the state, but in the nation. Achieving this objective takes a united board working in unison, but always considering the students first. Secondly, certified and qualified teachers, utilizing parents' involvement, and hiring the right superintendent. Being born, raised, and educated in Lafourche Parish, my years in public service, and my involvement in numerous community service organizations has taught me how to work with individuals having diverse backgrounds and ideas. We have worked to find solutions to problems as well and improvements to our community. My background in problem-solving skills will allow me to best serve the Lafourche Parish District number 7. Honor me on November
Thank you.
8th by electing me to the school board, District 7.
Thank you. We'll move on to District 9. Miss Ali Melanson Boulanger was also invited and indicated she was coming, but is absent. So we will move on to Miss Buffy Lynn Charpentier.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Knight. My name is Buffy Lynn Gisclair Charpentier. I'm a Lafourche native, and I am a candidate for School Board District 9. My husband Mark and I reside in Golden Meadow, and we have 4 children. We have 3 boys currently in public school, 1 attending South Lafourche High School, and 2 at Golden Meadow Middle School. My work history includes experience in marketing, human resources, and office management, and for the last 9 years, I have operated my own small businesses. Throughout my own education and my children's, we've experienced changes in curriculum, changes in administration, as well as staff, and I believe that, as with everything else in life, all change brings opportunity for learning as well as for growth. I think that in our current time of change, that it's the perfect time to bring a fresh point of view to the school board. I'm blessed to share friendships with many teachers and staff working in Lafourche Parish and beyond, and I've seen and I've heard their struggles. It's always been my goal to support these dedicated professionals and friends. It's imperative to me that we maintain focus on providing quality education to our students while attracting and retaining the best teachers out there. It's our duty to keep historically accurate, challenging, and wholesome content in our curriculum, and to refuse political and organized agendas and their attempt to infuse controversial content into our schools. To my neighbors who reside in Lower Lafourche, our voice needs to be heard and it needs to be valued. Our recent struggles have placed a level of stress beyond anything I've seen in my lifetime. I feel we need to be supported and guided for future and continuing success. And it would be my honor to have your support at the polls on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th. Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to our prepared questions. And the first one will go to School Board District 4. And Ms. Fertitta will head that off. The teacher shortage is impacting school districts across the nation. How can school boards overcome this challenge to improve both the recruitment and retention of qualified educators?
The number one issue with us maintaining our teachers is salaries, and we are in the process of looking at a way that we could possibly increase teachers' salaries and support people. The other thing is we have some very interesting incentives that the superintendent is putting into place, where people who are currently teaching for us with a degree and they're not certified, putting in a fast track for them to become certified teachers, which will help to keep them in our systems also. So it's just a matter of thinking out of the box and maintaining ways that we can entice people to come to work for us and to stay with us by providing them with better salaries and ways that they can become certified. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
One of the biggest issues we're facing in this parish is certified teachers. And I'm a prime example. I was a certified teacher, assistant principal, and I left the parish. I'm actually in an online school parish right now, and I'm getting paid more than I was as an assistant principal. Health care in Lafourche is very expensive, and that's another thing that makes it very hard for teachers to stay within the parish, because A, they could go to Terrebonne, St. James, or St. Charles and receive higher pay and better or cheaper health insurance. With that said, in order to raise salaries, I don't think we should bring in new taxes. And I'm against bringing new taxes on our community at this time in order to be able to retain and keep those teachers. I want those teachers to have better pay, but not at the cost of the community at this time.
Ms. Ellender Yurtich?
Thank you. Oh, gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm so glad we were asked this question. When teachers can teach, students can learn. When teachers can teach, students can learn. If a teacher feels supported, a teacher will stay where they are. So if we can make teachers feel supported wherever we are, then teachers will want to stay. That's how we have teacher retention, is by making teachers feel like they have a place to go. Too many teachers crying, too many teachers feeling like they can't go to someone to talk to them about the issues that they're having. There is no one to talk to. They fear repercussions if they do that. That's what gets teachers here and gets teachers to stay. Word of mouth. Somebody will say, yeah, well, did you know in Lafourche Parish, they don't have discipline problems or whatever it is. Then you're bringing people in. And that's how you get people to stay, is if they feel supported in the classroom.
Mr. Campbell?
First of all, if you want qualified people, you have to give them a reason to come. Pay isn't important. Being a spouse of a teacher, I know the insurance is skyrocketing. That is a chunk of their income in the insurance is eating it up. But if you want qualified teachers, You have to give them a reason they want to be here. The pay is, it's just not the pay. Support is important because it takes a village to raise our kids. If a teacher's in the classroom and she feel like she's all alone, she's going to get discouraged, especially our young teachers. Because, stop kidding ourselves, there's a lot of behavior problems in the classroom. But if we have, once again, it's going to take care the whole system to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you. On to School Board District 7, Mr. Richardell.
Respect. It's lost in our society. Remember, every profession starts with a teacher. You will not succeed without a good teacher. Everything said prior to my comments, I fully support. And we must bring back respect for the teachers and for authority. Thank you.
Ms. Marlborough?
Yes, I would like to thank the superintendent and the current board for bringing in teachers that aren't certified. I can proudly say my daughter's an uncertified math teacher at Lockport Middle, and she has some of the highest test scores in the district from her students. So finding talent in different places is an amazing thing to do because you never know what someone's calling is supposed to be. As far as what we currently have, there's the REACH program, which can help paraprofessionals become educators. I wholeheartedly agree with the other people on the panel that health insurance is one of the reasons that our teachers are leaving. Their salaries, of course, but work environment also. The number one reason teachers are leaving the profession is because they do not feel supported. Supported teachers will stay, and some of them will take a less salary to stay in our community. So let our parents back in the classroom and our community to support our teachers. Thank you.
District 9, Ms. Charpentier?
Thank you. I'm in agreement with much of what has been said already. While increased salaries in other districts provide somewhat of a challenge to our district because teachers are leaving for that paycheck, paycheck is not everything. I think that the incentive program allowing non-certified teachers to come in and get certified through their work process is an amazing start to getting good talent. I think that we can probably do better working with our area universities with recruiting and encouraging graduates to stay home and teach at home. Pushing the value of our community, showing them that there are options out here. You know, people think of Lafourche Parish sometimes as a dead-end parish, that, you know, there's no future here. We've got to show that. And that way, I think we keep good teachers, we develop good students, and they stay in our system.
District 1, Mr. Wright?
Yes, I am in agree with with mostly everyone on this panel. But I don't believe money is everything. You could give me so much money, and I still won't be happy. One thing I don't see within our school system, I don't feel our teachers have a voice. And I feel the board's making all the decisions. We got to give our teachers a voice, and also mind, body, and soul. We got to protect our teachers' mind, body, and soul. We just went through COVID. Hurricane Ida. Our teachers are dealing with so much. I just feel that we got to find different ways to support them, different incentive packages. I live in Thibodaux. We have a multi-million-dollar wellness center. Our teachers shouldn't have to pay full price to use that facility. The board, we got to get to the table with our leaders and find ways to support our teachers.
Ms. Thomas?
I do agree with everyone. We have to support our teachers. And a lot of people say money is not everything, but I've seen money drive a lot of things. And that's why a lot of teachers are leaving our parish, because they are getting a better pay. Do they need to be supported? Wholeheartedly, yes. we need to support them as teachers. And most of the board have open doors, so if anything was going on that needed to be addressed, we would address it. But you can't address anything that you don't know about. If somebody come to me with a problem, I'm addressing it. And I'm addressing it. And about that tax, I know I'm about to get this red light. That tax is part of an effort to lower property taxes across the entire parish and make our tax structure
Thank you,
more.
Ms. Thomas. On to our next question, and we will be starting with School Board District 5 on this one. What do you see as your role as a board member as it pertains to parental and/or constituent concerns regarding the school system, a school, or an employee? Your role as a school board member.
As a school board member, our job should be to uphold the policies and the rules. If it's a rule, that's the rule. As far as parents having rights to the education, I think every parent should want to know what these children are learning. So they should have access to what they're being learned, what they're being taught in school. Now, they cannot control what the book said, because the history is the history, the math is the math, the English is the English. So we're going to follow the guidelines that's set before us. But we cannot allow, we can't allow people to change because they don't like something. We're going to stick to the guidelines, and as a board, we set the policies and we keep it going.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Ms. Smallborough?
I see myself as a board member that's going to advocate for the children of our community and for parents that struggle with children that have exceptionalities. And that is a hard one to face. We have to set policies that are open to our community. We are losing our community and our young people at an alarming rate. We are seeing things happen within our community that is extremely scary. And if our policies do not reflect that and do not reflect parental involvement and engagement in a way that it used to be, where we actually went in the classroom, we supported our teachers and staff, then nothing's going to change. And that's where I think I bring the difference in from that perspective.
Mr. Richardell?
Understanding the powers of the board is to elect a superintendent. That's one function of the board. And the budget process involvement. And you cannot interfere in the schools as an individual on your own, but you can be a facilitator in solving problems. And even if it's not in your district, because there's nothing more frustrating than a parent trying to help their child to learn, knowing what they've been through in their life, the struggles that they've had, and wanting to make that path easier for that child. So yes, you have to have that compassion to do that, and I do. Thank you.
Ms. Sharpenshay?
I see the role of a board member with regard to those situations as a support to ensure that we are providing equal access to services, support for those children who have needs for 504 plans or any additional services. I feel like we need to make sure that constituents and parents feel like they can speak to us and know that their concerns are going to be addressed. I feel like follow-up communication is important. People always ask questions, but then they don't necessarily get the end result. So I think that open communication is really going to be that key to assisting with those concerns.
On to District 1, Ms. Thomas.
Being a board member takes a lot. It's not as easy as it looks when you sitting there and have to make this tough decisions and decisions that everybody won't like. But you still have to make them. You have to be brave enough, I guess, to stand for something when everybody is against it, but you standing for it because you know it's the right thing to do. Also, be open to your constituents. My constituents can call me or come to my house anytime, and if they have a problem, I'm going to seek it out. I'll be their advocate. Our superintendent, anything I went to him with, any concerns, he solved it. And from my understanding, there was no repercussions. Maybe I missed something. But I know when I brought things to him, it was solved. It may not be the way they wanted it to be solved, but it was solved.
Mr. Wright.
My commitment and responsibility to schools and constituents are to be visible and accessible to ensure all sides, teachers, parents, administrators, janitors, are represented. I believe in being responsive and open-minded to administrators, staffs, parents, students, and the community at large. Therefore, I believe every school board must encourage an open dialogue.
Mr. Smith.
So 2 of my priorities in my campaign have been to be the voice for my constituents, for my students, and a voice for the teachers. I've been in the system and I understand the system, and I will be there for you to come talk to me and be able to implement or find out the answers that you need. To my incumbents that are on the board right here, I have sent several emails to both of them. And you get radio silence. You never hear back from them. And that has happened before the election and during the election. They like to come up here and say, yeah, they're for the community, and they talk to the community. I never hear. The first email I got back was the other day, and that was from another member. But I will be here for you, speaking for you, listening to you, and responding to you. Thank you.
Ms. Ellender-Yurtich.
Thank you. I'd like to first address the repercussions thing. When I was talking about repercussions, teachers are scared to talk about what's going on in the classroom, and parents are scared to talk about what's happening with their children because they're afraid that their children will get a black eye. So that's the repercussions I'm talking about. Teachers are fearful for losing their jobs or getting blackballed if they go to their principal or if they go to the school board. It happened to me in Terrebonne Parish. Those are the repercussions I'm talking about. It's never happened with Mr. Martin or with this board for me. So that was a general statement. I'm glad I got to clear that up. Sure, thank you. Also, as a school board member, I think our biggest thing is to listen to what's going on and be able to address it, but to actually hear and not talk as much as we listen. So I think that there's a lot going on out there that people don't know about, but once we do listen, we can address it. Sorry.
Ms. Fertitta.
In 2012, the legislature passed a law that really ties the hands of school board members. We are only able to, the things that we can do is we can hire the superintendent and evaluate the superintendent. We pass the budget that's done through the finance department, and we approve policies. But I have called, when parents or constituents call, I have always listened to whatever it is they had to address, and I go straight to the superintendent. and tell him exactly what I've heard, what people are feeling, and then allow him to address it, because that is not the role of a school board member, to go and tell a parent, well, we'll do this or we do that. There's a chain of command. It starts at the school level with the teacher, the administrator, and then it goes to the central office supervisor, and then the superintendent. So a school board member acts as an interventionist, just to listen to whatever it is they have to say and report that. Thank you.
All right, our next question will start with School Board District 7, Mr. Richardell. The finances required to support public schools are limited. What do you view as the top priority for a school board's budget?
More money. Yeah, that's a tough one. As you stated, you have a limited amount of funds to work with. And therefore, you have to prioritize with that money the things that you need to do in the school system. And I think the board members, working with the superintendent, parish government, even state, some kind of way you need to get more funds into the system, but I would not advocate any increase in taxes. Our constituents are suffering too much now financially. I'm finished.
Mrs. Marlborough?
Well, funds are limited, so there's ways we can do things, as in the old way of allowing moms or dads come in and help with reading while the teacher does more one-on-one with the students in the old way. Grants. Anybody can write some grants? Grant writing going on. I'm sure there's way more we can be doing. Walking through the budget, fine-tooth combing it, finding where we can cut, what we can do, where money can be moved around, and how. And that's a start. But like he said, we need more money. So that's kind of where I sit with it, and no taxes, because unfortunately, with what we've been through in the last 3 years, I don't think that's a wise move with inflation and everything else.
Ms. Charpentier?
I think a top priority for the budget with limited funds is, first and foremost, to provide a safe and comfortable learning environment for our children. Beyond that, I agree that opening up our schools for partnerships with parents and the community and businesses to perhaps look at more creative ways to bring funds into our schools. You know, Lafourche, there's lots of oil field dollars that pass through our parish, and many of those companies want to see our kids succeed because that's their future as well. So I think capitalizing on those opportunities would really be a benefit when those funds get tight.
District 1, Mr. Wright?
Top priority, without raising taxes. I just believe we got to be more creative, find creative ways to increase revenue on that, and that's going to take the board being smart, making smart decisions, hearing everybody out. I'm a firm believer in partnership, partnering with our stakeholders within our parish to find ways to bring in revenue. I'm a firm believer in using our assets within our school system to increase revenue. Something I have in mind, it's a simple, something very creative. Every year, we send a school supply list out to our students. But none of those school supply lists have a business on there. But yet, our students going to spend millions of dollars with these big corporations right here in our parish.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
We got to get a return on that somehow.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Thomas?
You know, it's easy to say we need more revenue, but I didn't hear a lot of suggestions on how to get it. The only thing I hear is don't raise taxes. This tax that we're working on right now, and I started it and I'm gonna finish it this time, is part of the effort to lower property taxes across the entire parish and to make our tax structure more efficient. It represents an effort from the Polish government to work with others, with other taxing agencies to keep our tax burdens low, yet shift valuable resources to the school system. It will keep the tax rates supporting our public schools lower than many of our neighboring parishes. It will result in a much-needed $4,000.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. School Board District 4, Ms. Ellender Yurtich.
Thank you. Top priority is adults on campus. We need authority figures on campus because that helps to reduce behavior issues in schools. And if we can reduce behavior issues in schools, teachers can teach and students can learn, and that's the goal of schools. There are things we can do for free that we do pay for right now. For instance, there's some professional development that we have district-wide, and there are some things that people can do. Like, for instance, I'm certified in a couple of things. I would be happy to spend over the summer a day PD of this and a day PD of that. Anybody volunteer to come, and then teachers can learn. That's free. All we need is a place to do it. So we could possibly get rid of some of the money that we pay for professional development if we get our expert teachers in to help teach each other. That's just one idea. I have more, but my time's up.
Ms. Fertitta?
My top priority is teachers' salaries, teacher and support staff salaries. You can say what you want, but we lose good teachers every year to the parishes that when they can get in their car, drive 30 minutes, and have a $10,000 raise. Parents, teachers need money to support their families like everybody else. Of course, our second priority would be to continue to repairing our buildings after the storm. People don't understand how much money that is involved in trying to replace buildings, making decisions about which buildings are going to be first on the list, or what, when are we going to, what are we going to do with this school or this school? We actually still have students who are not on their campuses. So, number one priority, raise teachers and support staff salaries. Number two, let's get our buildings back to where they are, and we can go about our business as usual.
Mr. Smith?
All right, Ms. Thomas said come up with solutions. All right, over the past 3 years or so, our support staff in the parish has gone from 2 people to about 12 people. That's cost the parish about $1.2 million over the past 3 years. That's coming out of COVID money. COVID money is about to dry up, so we have to come up and pay those people somehow, some way. Bad thing is, in my constituency at East Thibodeau Middle School, 8th grade does not have a social studies teacher right now. We are paying online systems to teach our 8th grade social studies class, where the support staff certified in social studies could be in that classroom helping out kids. Another example is Bayou Buff is closed right now. We could consolidate that school and move that with the Chack Bay School. Just some ideas, thinking out of the box solutions.
Mr. Campbell?
Our main goal should be, number 1, teacher pay. Number 2, technology. This world is going to technology. So in other words, we must find a way to teach our kids how to prepare for the future. We need more technology. We need more ways of teaching technology to prepare the kids for the future. The buildings are important, and I understand that is a shortfall, but if we don't educate our kids, we can always be on a short call. So we gotta find a way to first get teachers, certified teachers in the classroom, and catch up with the times. Thank you.
The Lafourche Parish School District has developed and published a 5-year strategic plan. Describe how well your priorities align with this plan and what, if any, of your priorities are not included in the current strategic plan. This starts off with School Board District 9, Ms. Charpentier.
I feel like looking at the 5-year strategic plan, where my focuses would be going back to retention, hiring, retaining good teachers, keeping our kids safe, making sure that our infrastructure is sound and current and prepared for the future. And looking into, I guess, future preparation. Are our buildings equipped for where our needs are in the future? And I think that that's really where my focuses are.
Ms. Thomas?
Turn your microphone on.
Thank you. We do have a 5-year strategic plan that we are working on. Unfortunately, in those years, COVID came. Then we had the hurricane. We are still trying to recover from that. We had a new superintendent. So the board that's here right now has done well to overcome all those adversities they have. Our strategic plan is, some of it we doing. We acquired 52 new buses. We unfroze salaries for step increase. We completed safety renovations in all the high schools, and we institute streaming for meetings for constituents, awareness, and transparency. So our meetings are actually on Facebook, even the committee
Thank you.
meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
Pretty much all my priorities are aligned with the strategic plan. I like the way the school board is going, although, we could use a little improvement here and there, but I like what they have in mind. And I have mine written down even before we came here. And it's competitive salaries, to maintain employees, effective administrators, teachers, and employees, improvement in advanced technological equipment and programs for teachers and students, career-oriented programs involving STEAM, and I say STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and one of the most important, mental health. Well-conditioned, secure, and accessible facilities, safe, secure, and excellent after-school extracurricular programs, and I also speak on smart goals and opportunities to help increase revenue. So like I said, I like where we're going with the school, and I'm hoping I could be a part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. School Board District 4, Ms. Fertitta.
Yes. Well, the strategic plan, when it was written, it always focuses, or much of it focuses on student achievement, which is what the state asked us what to do. We have, as it was mentioned, along came COVID and along came Ida, so a lot of the goals that are on there have just been pushed aside. It was a matter of us just trying to survive, get students back into the classroom, get teachers what they needed to open up the schools again. So I think it's time, especially with a new board coming in, a board with 9 members, that we go back and revisit the strategic plan and look to see where we want to go, where we plan on going in the next 5 years, and just continue continue with doing what we can do the best for our students.
Mr. Smith?
One of my focuses is moving into the 21st century and giving our students the skills to be able to do that. Being in the system, I've noticed that There are no coding classes, there are no web design classes, there are no video editing classes, there are no podcast creation classes. I feel that our students need all those skills, even with the industries that we have here in Lafourche. Prime example, kids need to code somehow, some way to be able to help these industries. All right, and we are giving our kids in our system no exposure to that at all right now. I have talked to various high school teachers, and they have told me that there's the kids are getting no exposure to that at all. So my focus will be to try to get these coding, various different type of programs in place.
Ms. Ellender?
Thank you. I love that. I love exactly what you said, all of that. Also, if we talk about student achievement, I'm going to say what I've seen work, and I've worked in different school districts and at different schools. And what works is if you can have behavior under control, then, as I've said, teachers can teach. And if teachers are teaching, students can learn. If we have one behavior problem in the classroom that disrupts everyone from learning, that child is in essence dictating how the teachers can teach and which students can and can't learn. And so if we're talking about student achievement being high on the priority list, then I think that we look to how to best to not look to programs as much as to the student behavior aspect of it. And one of them is just to start with kind of training kids at the beginning of school for the first 2 weeks of school how we behave in this environment of school rather than fussing.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
Yes. 5 things I think we should look at is 1 would be teacher pay, 2, the buildings, and the last 3 should be all about the students. We have to be able to, like I said before, prepare the students to succeed in life. Everybody's not going to college. So let's give them trade, give them a pathway to succeed. Student achievements should be our main goal. And everybody's achievements looks different. Everybody's not the same. Education is not the same for everybody. So we need to find a way to incorporate the whole body and make sure kids can succeed in life and get good buildings and, like I say, get it moving forward with technology. Thank you.
Ms. Marlborough?
Well, a lot of these ideas are wonderful and great, but we go back to budget issues. So I've raised 2 children that now work for the Lafourche Parish Public School System, and they got solid foundations in K through 5. My youngest 2 are now in 6th and 8th grade, and their foundations are weaker than their older siblings. If we cannot give solid foundations and children want to go on to a technical career or a field where they don't need a degree, they at least need basic skills. And if they don't have those, how can we propel them forward? That is something we need to be looking at. We also need to be looking at technology. I keep saying it again, parents need to come back into our school system. We have retired teachers, retired parents, grandparents that would like to come, and they could teach the coding, do coding clubs. They can do these things, but we have to start exploring these avenues to propel this plan forward.
Mr. Richardell?
Thank you. No, we couldn't prepare for COVID, but we could prepare for hurricanes. We got them every year. Again, funds, shortage thereof. I heard some good ideas here tonight, and I'm looking forward to working with new faces that I haven't worked with before, exploring these ideas. But we have to go beyond just 5 years. And we need to catch up with the other systems in this country and learn from these other systems what's best for Lafourche Parish. But only together will we get it done. Thank you.
This will start off with School Board District 1. What do you see as the most urgent needs of the school system other than teacher shortage, and why? And are there any steps that you would recommend to address these needs? Mr. Wright?
I feel we need parent involvement. Without parents, many students won't succeed. We see it every day in our community. We definitely see it in our school systems. We need more parent involvement. And I know we can't stress it enough. I know us as adults wish we could take on many kids that lack, home parenting. But I think we need parenting involvement, because without that parent, without that teacher, that student won't succeed. We definitely need parents' involvement. I don't know what's. I only could speak from how I was raised, and I don't think I'd be the man I am today without my parents. And I think everything starts at home. And I know some kids, unfortunately, don't have that parenting, and that's when the village got to step in. The aunt, the uncle, the grandmother, the cousin.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Thomas?
The urgent needs I see right now that we really need is to get the schools back up and running. Every school is not back up. We need to repair all the damage that Ida did. And it's going slow. You're having problems getting materials, as everybody else probably did. But we need to get those schools up and running. Put our children back in a familiar place where they can continue their learning. We also need to figure out how to get money, as I said again, to pay these people, to pay the teachers, to pay the staff workers, everybody, because everybody took a loss when this hurricane come. So we need to help our community as well as our school system, whatever we can do to prepare them, to prepare the students for whatever they want to do in life.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
So, main issue coming up is teachers having respect. And what I mean by that, teachers not living in fear of making mistake, not in fear of grandparents coming to their school and running across to the school board to complain about them, or parents, or various different things. Then teachers need to be felt that they are supported in the system. I've been through it. I've lived it. I've lived being an assistant principal and living in fear that I'm going to lose my job because I have a school board member sitting in my office and I didn't say the right thing. Thank you.
Ms. Ellender Yurtich?
Thank you. I think that teachers need support, as we've been saying. And I also think, though, that as many people have said, and I think it's obvious that this is not just what we think, but this is happening all over the country, is that we want parents back in our schools. So we need to get parents back in our schools so we can have buy-in from the parents. Because once the parents buy into what's going on at school, that supports the students at home. Now the students are coming to school with more respect because they're all on the same page. Everybody's on the same page. We need to go out to the communities and recruit these parents to come to us, and we need to be able to use them. We can fingerprint them, we can background check them, we can train them to do what we want them to do. They're free and they want to be there. They want to be in the schools. Let's let them back in.
Ms. Fertitta?
I think it's not so much parents in the school as much as parent support at home. And that's a problem that is in every community, and it's happening here. We need some kind of a way work with the court systems, with anybody that can help to just establish places where our students, and even in some of our schools, where students can stay after school to get homework support, to get counseling if they need it, and all of the things that they don't receive at their home, because many of them are being raised by grandparents who have very limited resources. And we won't find these people coming into our schools and helping, but we need that support after school and during the day, supporting parents, so that when you call with an issue to a home, you have a parent that you can tell them, and they're going to support what the school is saying their child needs. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. One thing we need to incorporate is right is right and wrong is wrong. Stop upholding people and kids when they're wrong. And make sure that we are teaching and preparing the kids for the future. Also, we do need everybody. It takes a village. It takes everybody to be on one page for every child. And that's the way you incorporate good foundation for everyone. And I can't say this enough. We have to look at our society as far as where we're going to give them the proper tools. It don't make sense to give them a flathead for Philip. You know what I'm saying? We got to give them the proper tools, and that's very important. Thank you.
Mr. Richard Dell?
Accountability system needs to be fair. It needs to be consistent, and it needs to be transparent. In my younger days in school, the students that were in sports were favored, or the families that were a little special. That kids was treated different. I'm not sure that's going on now, but that's what I envision for this school system. Everything open and above board throughout it. Thank you.
Ms. Marlborough?
So first, I want to say a lot of parents in our community do care, and it does start at home. When we have administrators that are not doing what they should be doing, and we call the chain of command, we meet with the superintendent, then we are shut down and not allowed to speak on the agenda about what is taking place at our schools, to speak about it so the board is informed about what is going on. I just want to clear that up because I'm a mom who cares, and I've had to do that. And I've been told, no, I can't speak, by the way. We can't continue to blame COVID and hurricanes for everything. Psychology, basic psychology says we have to build relationships. To build relationships with people, you have to be near them. You have to work with them. So if parents are working with teachers in the classroom or at the school, then there's going to be trust and support will come. It'll all fall into place. But we have to start by allowing our parents, grandparents, or anybody else that wants to bring something positive to our school system to be there.
Ms. Charpentier?
I'm in agreement with many of the things brought up, like repairing our campuses being an urgent need, family and community support at schools. But to me, it goes down to two very important things. I think that especially our younger kids need recess. The decompression time is seriously lacking, and the stresses that are put on these young children are immense. Additionally, job preparedness for basic life skills. I have been screaming this forever. I have a recent graduate and a high school junior, actually senior, he's graduating early. They cannot sign their names. This is a serious, serious lack that we have missed. We need to go back. When I was in school, we wrote our times tables over and over. We practiced cursive writing until we got it. It's not a one-week lesson. We got to go back to basics and prepare our kids for real life.
Thank you. All right. What is your position on the use of charter schools? Do you think charter schools are an effective way to serve students and why? And we start off with Ms. Ellender Yuritich.
Thank you. I love this question. So I've worked at 2 charter schools, and I think that they are fabulous. Fabulous. It shouldn't be that only some people have school choice. I think that everyone should have school choice. If they live in a neighborhood, they live in a failing school district, they shouldn't have to go to that school just because that's where they live, but they can't afford to go to a private school. So I think there should be school choice for everyone. Charter schools are wonderful in that they can create their own boundaries of the way that they want their day to look, what their priorities are, and how they want to see that happen. So they're like at the school where I am right now, there's not the bureaucracy that I've seen in the regular public schools. And those are some of the things you can take out when you do have options like charter schools do. Thanks.
Ms. Fertitta?
There are some very good charter schools, and we're very lucky in our communities to have several of them. There are some charter schools, not here, but there are some charter schools that are not very good. They're out there to make money, and they really don't serve the needs of the children. However, I think that school choice, and we do provide that by law, we have to provide school choice for students who are in failing schools. And we do have some students who are bused to some other schools to get them from one failing school into another. Of course, you have to look at the numbers of the accepting school. But I think that there are charter schools that are good. There are other options that are online learning that's good. And like I said, our communities have many different choices for our students, and it is up to the parents to decide what is best for their child. And that's what I always felt, that you know the parent needs to make that decision, what is best for your child.
Mr. Smith?
I work at an online charter, so I like charter schools. But with that said, students have to have all students have to have access to that school of choice. I've worked at East Thibodaux, and BCA is right next door. I have seen that not every kid has access to BCA. And I feel that has made a divide in Thibodaux. All right, and nothing against BCA, they're a great school, but I just feel like that it needs to be done right, and everybody has to have access to that school or that school of choice. I just feel it's very selective, and it needs to be changed in that manner. If us as a school board are gonna give awards to BCA during our awards ceremonies, I think that access to that school needs to be opened up a little bit more, or we take control of that.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. First of all, charter schools, if used properly, are good. I'm not for taking away funding for public schools. Every kid deserves a right to a good education. Now, if he's in a failing school situation, he deserves a choice for a better education, because everybody deserves a good education. But I feel as though we cannot take public funds and give it to private schools. But charter schools, if used in the right manner and open up to everybody, it can work. But our main goal should always be take care of our own public schools first. Thank you.
Ms. Marlborough?
Well, I'm going to say school choice is awesome. Not all kids fit in the same box. I've worked with families and advocated with families who've pulled their children out of our school system because they feel it was failing their children and have put them in charter schools. And it's working for them. And it's unfortunate that it's that way, but we need a board who's going to be competitive, who wants nothing but the best to bring nothing but the best. And if it ever comes up that school choice is out there, I'm going to say, hey, bring it, because we can do better and we will do better.
Mr. Richardell?
Our purpose on the school board is to have our kids in Lafourche Parish system. Charter schools have a position in life. However, our priority has to be Lafourche Parish School Board system. Parents have the right to put their children in any school they wish. And that's my stance on it. Thank you.
Ms. Charpentier?
I'm glad this question came up because on a recent questionnaire, I was the black sheep that said that I was not particularly in support of charter schools. And I'd like to elaborate on that. Like Mr. Richardell said, making our schools the best place for our children should really be where it's at. The reason that I am against charter schools per se is because they're eligible for the same government funding. I feel like if our schools are performing, then why are we wanting charter schools to be able to claw those funds that we could be receiving ourselves for our own districts? I think that the VAL system as an option within the district is a wonderful alternative for those students who learn on a different level and need that smaller classroom setting and the virtual option, but it's not for everyone. And I think that our school system is where our priorities must be.
Ms. Thomas?
I do agree with you. We should make our schools better than the charter schools, where the parent want to send the child to the public school. Yes, charter schools do get money that could be used in a public school. I might not be popular for saying this, but it's okay. That's my thoughts on it, that we need to make our schools better in every way that we can to get all children in a public school system and not the charter school.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, I'm a firm believer of charter schools. I feel parents should have the choice to make decisions and do what's best for their kid. I was a kid that was diagnosed with ADHD. It's not that I couldn't sit there and learn. I just wasn't that type of learner. I was a hands-on learner. But if it had a school, particularly for me to learn with my hands, being more active, then I probably never got diagnosed with that. One thing I don't like about the situation is that when a charter school is not performing well, that charter school gets shut down. But when a public school is not performing well, that kid continues to suffer.
All right, last question before we go to closing statements. So, what is your position on the tax election called by the Lafourche Parish School District and the Lafourche Parish Council for March of 2023? And we'll start off with Mr. Campbell.
Taxes is not popular. Nobody want to pay more taxes. But that's the only way to support your community. I think we need to find some type of safe range or however study you want to look at it, but it's the way you pay for your community. We can't afford high taxes, but we cannot continue on the path that we're on neither. So we're going to have to make some tough decisions, and that's just what it is. If education is that important to you, making it better going to be that important to you as well. I had an old pastor that taught me something a long time ago. If you ever want to know how much a man loves something, follow where his money go. And they'll tell you how much they care about it.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Campbell. Mr. Richardell.
Earlier, some of the people here mentioned grants and companies. That has possibilities. Getting to your question, I support the marrying of the government and the school system working on the basis of taxes to get more funding for the school system. Thank you.
Ms. Marlborough?
Well, I really don't think we're in a position as a community whole. I mean, we can continue to say hurricane, COVID, but we have to look at a nation, what is happening with inflation, the bottom line to people's paychecks, what they can and cannot afford. And if we add things to it, it just adds to the issue. To further that, a lot of that was not discussed when they dropped the bomb on the community about doing this at the school board meeting. It was not explained in great detail. We were told to wait till November 2nd, and then we were told to wait for many forums that are going to happen between now and Election Day. So for me to sit here and give you an accurate answer of what I would do with not all the information in front of me to make an accurate decision, I'm not going to comment on it.
Ms. Charpentier?
I tend to agree somewhat with Ms. Marlborough in that I feel like I would like to be enlightened more on the topic. I feel like our constituents, many of whom are on fixed incomes, are already really struggling to figure out how to pay for basic necessities like electricity and food. If it's going to mean a tax increase, I feel it's going to be very difficult for that to pass in these difficult economic times. If it's a redistribution of taxes, like I said, I'd like to be a little better educated on it before I can give you a stance. Thanks.
Mr. Wright?
It's a tough topic, gonna be a tough vote. But I think if we get out, if the correct message get out, I think they have a great chance of passing. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the parents. You can't come home every day and complain that your student keep going to alternate, don't have a teacher, but yet don't vote to pass this tax to bring in more certified teachers, to retain more teachers. I just think we just got to get the right message out and don't be like last time and lose by less than 100 votes. I'm all for doing best for the school. That's what we got to do to retain our teachers, bring in more qualified teachers. That's something we just got to sacrifice and see. Put it on the ballot. Let's see where it's go.
Ms. Thomas?
Well, I've been trying to talk about this all night, so I'll finally get a chance to speak my piece. That tax will result in a much-needed $4,000 annual increase for teachers and a $2,000 increase for the support staff. I don't know the last time. It may have been before I became a board member. I heard of teachers and support staff getting raises. That just didn't happen. If you want something done, you also have to help. We can't do this by ourselves. And come to the forums that they're going to have, and you can understand how this tax is going to work and make your decision then. Don't knock it down until you educate yourself on it. Thank you.
Ms. Fertitta?
I am elated that finally the Lafourche Parish Council and the school board are working together to do something for positive in our communities. We, the parish president, the superintendent, our finance people, and I know some of the people in the community have worked to put this proposal together. It is not a tax increase. It is a removing of and taking taxes that are in some places and putting them in others. You will learn about that at the forums. It's a win-win situation for everybody. And I just, we all talk about, just tonight I just feel like our school systems are horrible, but we actually are 10th in the state in growth, and we just received the schools of excellence, 2 or 3 out of the whole state. And if we're going to continue to attract businesses, or if we want to attract businesses here, we have got to do something to make our school systems even better than they are.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
3 years ago, we were number 3 in the state. So we're declining, okay? And we have a great system, we have great teachers. But with that said, at the school board meeting the other night, school board members talked about we're decreasing taxes but increasing revenue. Doesn't make sense to me when your only access to revenue is taxes. How does that work? It doesn't. Now moving taxes to now fees, that's a tax. That's a tax. And for me and my constituents in my District 4, we shop in Thibodaux, in the city of Thibodaux. 0.4 of a cent, the tax will go up. They're talking about my trash. I have to pay for that now service instead of my taxes paying for that, or my sales taxes paying for that. So right now, I am against from everything that I've heard about it.
Thank you. Ms. Ellender Yurtich.
Thank you. I want to say, I don't think that our schools are terrible. I think that people are just kind of tired of the old system, and people are ready to fight back and like get our schools back in our houses, in our families. As far as the tax goes, I don't feel like I know enough about it. I mean, I've heard, but I don't feel like I know enough about it. I agree with what Mr. Smith is saying. Gosh, let's just see. Let's let it play out. Let it get explained, and then we'll vote on it, and the people will decide. So that's it.
Well, we are now at closing remarks, and so we're going to do this a little different. We're going to come backwards. All right, so we're going to start off with Ms. Charpentier.
Thank you, Moderator Knight. Thank you to the Thibodaux and Lafourche Chambers of Commerce for hosting this candidate forum, and to all the candidates who participated with me here this evening. The freedom to vote is one of our nation's most valued treasures, yet so many people take it for granted. If you're not yet registered to vote, you can still do so online until tomorrow. sos.la.gov. You can do that online. I pray that everybody does vote on Tuesday, November 8th. And to the people in District 9, thank you for your consideration and your support at the polls. It's my hope that I can be a liaison between the constituents of District 9 and the superintendent to make our schools the best that they can be. I'll leave you with a quote that a friend of mine shared. Good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Thank you. God bless.
Mr. Richardell.
Thank you, Margaret. Community service has occupied my entire life, beginning with the Lockport JCs as a youth in my 20s, continuing with the Lockport Lions Club, Rotary Club, Knights of Columbus, Coach Biddy Basketball, Holy Savior School Board, Holy Savior Pastoral Council, Finance Board, and Chairman of the construction of our cafeteria complex. I served as an alderman for the town of Lockport, and I did serve on the school board many years ago. I served on the Lafourche Parish Ambulance Board, currently on the District 911 Board. And as a national elector, I proudly cast my vote for Ronald Reagan. And through all these organizations, I've always served in a management position, and I will carry that forward on the school board. Thank you.
Mrs. Marlborough.
I'd like to thank all the people here this evening and y'all for putting this on, and the people of District 7 that have supported me, and the parents that want change. We're at a precipice here in Louisiana. We're at a tipping point, and I've seen it happen in other states. We're losing our young people, and we got to do something to get them back. And that requires parents, the community, the district attorney, our judges, everybody to come together and work towards a greater good. And I want to say that I don't think our schools are horrible. I think we have a lot of issues that we need to deal with as a community whole. And that is what I want to bring to the table when we hopefully can all work together one day. Parents are frustrated, they're angry, and they want change. And I'm hoping that I can bring that. Thank y'all.
Mr. Campbell.
Thank you for tonight. Thank y'all for coming out. I just want to say that every day, if I'm elected, every day, every meeting, my main goal is going to be the kids. It's going to be, how can I make this work for everybody? Everybody deserves a chance at an education. Everybody deserves a chance to succeed in life, whatever that may look like. With my wife a teacher, my kids in the school system, I have something to fight for. And every day I plan to do that. So for my District 5, I would appreciate your consideration for your vote, and go out and vote for Guy Campbell Sr., number 66, on November 8th. Thank y'all.
Mr. Smith.
For the last 15 years, I've been in the system, and I know how the system works. And from tonight, you have seen that I'm not afraid to speak up and ask the hard questions or come up with the hard solutions. And that's what I'm here for. With that said, I'm here for the kids. I want the kids to get a valuable, well-rounded, and great education in Lafourche Parish. Thank you.
Ms. Fertitta.
We know that the system has really, for the last 4 years, have gone through many, many challenges, excuse me, and as we move forward, there are going to be many more challenges. It's going to take a board that's cohesive, with experience and knowledge to meet all of these challenges that we're going to face. My commitment to the students and the teachers, the administrators, the staff, and the parents is evident in my voting record. When people ask me why do I want to run, my answer is I love education and I love the Lafourche Parish School Board system. I know what education can do in changing the lives of children. I have seen it. And also, I still possess the energy and the enthusiasm and the excitement to help make our schools the best place of learning for our children. I thank the District 4 voters who have allowed me to represent them the last years, and I really welcome the new people that are in our district, and I ask for your support on November the 8th. Thank you.
Ms. Ellender Uritage.
Thank you. Unfortunately, there are things that I didn't get to talk about tonight, like what I learned at the different schools where I taught and how to effectively bring those successful schools examples into our district. Some of the best things that I've seen are actually occurring at the little charter school where I teach right now at Val, but I've also learned really good things in Little Rock and in the 9th Ward that work. There are issues that I'd like to form a roundtable about, like the data mining of our children, Eureka Math, CRT, SEL, and teaching sexuality in our schools, streamlining tasks for teachers so they can have a better work-life balance. I have ideas for how to tackle the teacher shortage, behavior issues in the classroom on buses and around the school, cell phones, classroom engagement, and student learning. Outside of school, I surround myself and speak with a team of people who are as passionate as I am every single day. And I just want to leave you with one question. In general, are you happy with the direction that our schools are going in?
Mr. Wright.
As a Thibodeau Public School graduate, my passion for education and service to my community has been to help provide, find the resources, and be a voice to encourage our students to reach their full potential. In addition to implementing plans and services to help our students retain quality information and build upon lessons taught within the school day. Therefore, we as a society can overcome the critical issues within the education system, such as closing the education gap and decreasing high school dropout rates. One thing I I heard while I listened, sitting right there earlier, Judge Robichaux. She had said a football story. Her husband was number 60 and her son was number 60. Well, I got a football story also. On November 8, 2002, I became paralyzed while playing high school football. On November 8, 2022, I hope to be elected as a school board representative. Thanks.
Ms. Thomas.
I have been committed to outreach and community service for a long time, aiding anyone in need throughout my lifetime. I currently serve as your Lafourche Parish School Board member. I also serve on the City Zoning Commission, the Executive Board member of Virtual Academy of Lafourche. I serve as the Vice President of Lafourche Community Action and Life Coast Governing Board. My lifetime and is for service to those who have less than we have. I am a veteran. I'm an Army veteran, and I take that discipline that I was taught for those 8 years with me to help serve the community.
Don't they deserve a round of applause? And I say this is that anybody that, really you volunteered to be, hopefully become elected and to serve our community. And I commend all of you for doing that. So this concludes our forum tonight. We would like to thank the following. We'd like to thank the media who have sat out back there and filmed us. My committee that works with the Chamber of, the Thibodaux Chamber, along with the Lafourche Chamber, all you audience members for attending, and most important, early voting starts October the 25th to November the 1st. And election date is November 8th. Make sure that you vote. And in closing, I'm going to pull a rank here. There is a Thibodaux Forum for the city on next Monday night, October the 24th. It starts at 5:30 in the Ridley Grove Auditorium, and it's being sponsored by Lafourche Alliance for Good Government and Nichols State University College of Business. Love to see you out there also. Thank you and good night.